This is What the F Happened, a week in review of what's going on in the markets and how you're investing your money based on what the market and the news is telling you. So the question is are you doing the right thing? We're going to talk about it. We're going to rant. We're going to rave. Hell, we're going to get in arguments with you and other people about what's going on out there, because that's what this is all about. Hey, it's What the F Happened, and you're about to witness it. Join me. All right, everybody, what is up? We are back at it for another shit show today for What the F Happened, a week in review of the markets. And I'll tell you, we have no lack of nonsense going on out there right now in the market. So we've got everybody streaming here. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube, and I've got my two colleagues with me. We're going to have a blast. We got Dennis Shapiro, who's joining us as a one-off today. And, you know, He's kind of joining us in a crazy morning he was having. But Dennis, just so everybody knows, he wrote a book called The Alternative Investment Almanac. You guys should check that book out. And he's going to provide some really good insight to some of this stuff because he wrote a book on that exact topic. And then we've got the one, the only, Stephen Nagy. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey, what's up, Chris? Happy birthday. It's his birthday.
All right, everybody, listen, as we get rolling, I want every single one of you to comment in your questions. We'll put them up on there. We'll either make fun of you, agree with you, or we'll get into a heated dispute, whichever way you want. That's how we roll at this show, What the F Happened. So the first thing I want to start with is none other than that big topic, Bitcoin. Stephen, what the hell is going on in the world of Bitcoin? I know we're just about to cross over that ceiling that I keep talking about, the $40,000 ceiling. Bitcoin's been bouncing around between 30,000, we'll call it 29,000 and 40. It's been playing within this channel, and we've been making great money buying it at 30, selling it around 38 or 40. But you know, I think this news here has the potential to break through this ceiling. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, last Wednesday when we were on, we basically had just fallen below 29,000. It started coming back up. We said, what's everybody waiting for? Why not buy? We're between 30 and 40. And then what happened between now and last week? Boom, we went over 40 with Bitcoin, right? And now we're hovering right around that $39,000, $40,000 range. So guess what's going to happen next? I don't know, but if we continue, we might see this. But this news story is a large driver in why we see this boom, along with the conference that they had last week with Elon and all the regular players out there pushing and pumping and pumping and pushing and pumping. And anyways, so what we did is
that actually could go the wrong direction, pushing and pumping and pumping and pushing. But hey, we're talking about Bitcoin. Keep your mindset right, folks.
Come on, you bunch of people. But all right, so we got that, and then Amazon releases a job ad for somebody that they can hire to basically build a way for them to accept cryptocurrencies. So a news channel out in California saw this ad, this job posting, and said, whoa, Amazon's going to accept Bitcoin this year. So Bitcoin went boom and really took off. And then they came out and Amazon kind of clarified and said, well, you were hiring someone, but we don't have any plans of actually accepting Bitcoin in 2021, 2022. But they kind of left it there. So the hype is there. It's all driven by news cycles. There's no technical side anymore. Welcome to What the F Happened.
All right. So here, listen, we've talked a lot about Bitcoin. It's a topic that everybody wants to talk about, this crypto, the shit coins, the Dogecoin, the little doggy on the NASCARs. I mean, whatever. I just was talking to one of my guys and he's talking about some other shit coin. And I'm just like, how many of these shit coins are out there? But let's bring it back to the one. Yeah, how many are there?
There's a lot. I was in the Keys a couple weeks ago with a buddy of mine, and him and his friend actually create shit coins. And then they have a huge marketing presence on Twitter, and they push and push and push and drive these shit coins up. It's crazy. Anybody can do it. There's no regulation. Anybody can do it. If you have a little bit of coding, a little bit of knowledge, and a little bit of marketing skills, boom, you can create your own shit coin. So let's stick with Bitcoin though.
All right, so back to Bitcoin. We talked in previous shows, in previous episodes about how Elon Musk, Bitcoin was going crazy up to 60,000 back in the day. Now, that wasn't all that long ago when he was saying Bitcoin can be accepted to buy Teslas. And I actually know people that bought Model 3s and they bought whatever the other SUV wing door thingamajigger, but they were buying them with Bitcoin. And then all of a sudden, Elon comes out and he says, we're no longer accepting Bitcoin because it's bad for the environment. It's kind of like saying last week when the market tanked, Mondays are just a bad day to invest. That was what the news headlines were saying. But so now we've got Elon coming back saying, well, I think now we're going to maybe accept Bitcoin to, for these cars again. So first he accepts it. Then he doesn't accept it because it's bad for the environment. Now, Bitcoin, I think he lost like a couple $1 billion because of something with Bitcoin. Then he's like, well, we might accept it again. Like, which is it, Elon? Are you going to accept the damn coin or are you not going to because it's bad for the environment? So, Dennis, I want your take on Bitcoin and where do you think it's going? What do you think about Elon and what do you think about this Amazon stuff? Because that could be the rocket that drives this thing up to $100 or $100,000 actually.
So I bought Bitcoin like 7 years ago, and I think I bought it. I drove somewhere. I checked in. It was like it doubled. I sold it because I was like, this is way too volatile. Anything that could go up that fast can probably go down that fast. So I was like, all right, that's enough for me. And then I haven't been doing Bitcoin in years until this year. Actually, 2 years ago, I created an investment club, and two of them are tech, and anybody who's in tech does crypto. So I've been following and what they've been saying. For me, I'm trying not to follow the individual news channels. From what I understand from people who actually get what this is, because I got the basics. But for the people who get like the nitty gritty and who have all the different uses, this is investing in a technology. It's an unproven technology. It looks good. It looks like the potential is there. So whether or not Elon Musk likes it or not, you should just be comfortable with the technology. And then if you do that, you could kind of ignore the news on a daily, weekly, basis.
On Instagram, somebody just said, and I think this is a wise thing. He says, I think in the next 10 years, shitcoin will be a thing of the past. So, it will be a past trend. I think that's probably the case. I think right now people are rushing into everything because of FOMO and the fear of missing out on some returns that probably aren't even there. They're getting these shit coins. They can buy them like a fraction of a penny. Like, wow, I own 10,000 shares for $1. First and foremost, if that's you, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm an idiot. Because that is just stupid. It's just stupid. I'm not even going to go there. And then somebody else just said he purposely is affecting the Bitcoin price. Yeah, clearly. In Dennis, I want to talk a little bit. I come from, the Wall Street world, the advisory world. And, if any of us in Wall Street were to go out there and start like making tweets and posts like Elon does about a particular, stock or something, man, that would be... Man, we'd be banned, we'd be fined, we'd have all sorts of issues because we're trying to, influence the price of a particular stock. Well, do you think Elon's trying to influence the price of Bitcoin just a wee little bit?
The only reason why I would say no to that is because it's obvious that it's kind of like what he's doing. The only the devil's advocate is he's like the second richest man in the world. Whether or not he makes, a couple of dollars off a tweet that he makes or not, I don't think that plays a role. Like when you're number two, when you're in that league, I don't know if that fraction is worth, the potential. I think he just doesn't care. He says whatever he wants to say. And I think he's got like that FU money. Well, he says, "Hey, you want to come after me? Here's my lawyers." That's it.
Yeah, his company owns so much Bitcoin. You would think that him influencing Bitcoin that his company owns would make a conflict there.
It could be. I look, if you unravel this stuff, I'm sure it's pretty bad. But I guess certain people can do things that they want to do. You admire the person, you admire him. Hey, it would be nice to not have a filter and just to do whatever you want on a daily basis.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of truth in all that. I think some of it maybe is he's trying to influence. Some of it might just be he just doesn't care. And who knows? The rest of it could just be he's like, hey, here's my team of attorneys on the 18th floor. Why don't you just call them if you got a problem with it? So when you get to that level, I guess, you're untouchable. We know a couple other people like that, but we're not going to go there today. All right, here we go. Let's put this one up because I think this is a really good topic that we're going to talk about from Market Watch. All right, we got Market Watch right here, putting it up there. Steven, I'm going to let you. This is kind of an interesting one. So Kathy Wood is pretty well known. She's the, I believe, the CEO or CFO of ARC which is a massive investment firm. And she is saying, ahead of Tesla's results, Cathie Wood says Wall Street's valuing it all wrong. So she's actually saying that Tesla could be a $3,000 stock. So what do you think, Stephen? What's your take on this article here?
Yeah, and if you've been following what the F happened for a little while, we talk a lot about Tesla because it is a fascinating company when it comes to the stock market. I mean, the valuations, last I looked, it was at like a 680 PE, which the average in the auto industry is like 20. So it's way, way, way overvalued. But we know we talk about all the time, the technical side and, reading the stock market and charts that way just are out the window these days in 2021 due to everything that goes on with the printing of money and all the policy and everything like that. So Cathie Wood comes out and says, listen, Tesla is way undervalued right now. She thinks that instead of looking at Tesla as a car company, which is what we talked about last week, ironically, Chris, instead of looking at it as a car company, this is a technology company. This is a company that's driving and disrupting all kinds of different spaces and all kinds of different industries, not just a car company. And she thinks that is the future of Tesla. So what she says is, hey, Tesla is not a $680, $700 a share stock. It's a $3,000 a share stock, $3,000 a share stock for a company that I don't think makes any money. Although they did just have their best quarter ever, I believe, right, Chris? And we have that article too. So who knows?
Maybe they did. Yeah, they had a crazy quarter. Maybe she's onto something. And, Dennis, I'd like your comment on this because you had mentioned that, about technology. And I would agree with her. I don't know if I agree. It's, the valuation should be where it is. I think Tesla's pretty well valued right now, but what do I know? Fundamentally, it's probably overvalued, but depending on how you run the valuations of a company, then maybe she's right. But it certainly should be looked at that it's a technology company. Dennis, you want to comment on this? And Kate Walker, I'll comment back on what you said in a second. I'm just messing with you, man. I know you weren't picking on me directly, but you make a good point that we're going to hit in a moment.
So I'll definitely say, it's funny, like you're saying 600 PE for Tesla. That's actually kind of cheap from what I remember. I remember that thing used to be over 1,000 PE. The other thing is, like, I'm kind of looking for a 7-seater car. So I'm looking into like a Tesla. You can't even buy them.
No,
it's crazy. Like you could get on a waiting list and just wait for them, but you can't buy one today. So just from a investment perspective, like how can you go like that? Looks pretty good when you can't even buy the product. But given all of that, it is, you have to, at these valuations, you have to kind of buy into the thesis that it is a technology company. I had a couple of buddies of mine who own a Tesla, and the way that they describe it is like every night the car goes into the garage and then you brain dumps all the data it collected for the day into like one central hub, and then all the information from every Tesla that ever driven for that day gets repumped back into the car. So literally you go in and you start your car the next morning, it's like a zillion times smarter. Like, if that's not technology, then what is? Like, that's not, you can't measure that in any other way. So that's all I think. If you're buying it, as long as it's like, I hate the people that like when you talk to them, they're like, yeah, I own Tesla, and then you're like, all right, so what else is in your portfolio? And they're like, no, I own Tesla and Bitcoin, and then like that's a problem. But if they actually have a portfolio and it's well rounded and that's a part of their technology, a portion of their asset class, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're dead on with that. And, I think a lot of people right now are looking at, the favorites, the FANGs, and some of these technology companies and really just going all in on them. That's a very risky proposition. I don't care whether you follow Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, any economist, diversification is the key. And you got to make sure that you're diversified for what your needs and goals are. So if your needs and goals are long-term growth, well, then you can probably go a little deeper into some of these, FANG stocks or some of the technologies. But please don't forget what happened back in the 2000s with the dot-com crash. Remember, all those companies were going to the moon. Then all of a sudden, most of them were bankrupt. And it was right after that Super Bowl game where I swear to God, every Super Bowl commercial was a technology company that I'd never even heard of. It seems like a lot of that is repeating itself. I don't think Tesla's going anywhere. There's so much demand for it. But let's get down one more topic. And then Kay Walker, I want to come back to his comment here on Instagram. So Tesla. Let's really hit on this. So Tesla's an all-electric car. We all know this. They're fantastic technology. I've been in them. I mean, when you hit the gas, literally you can't even lift your head off the seat, which is pretty freaking awesome. But not only like that, the cars drive themselves. They got a lot of cool stuff, which is why there's so much demand. And in this new Green Deal or whatever they're calling it out there, you know, where they're trying to really push electric, all these companies are investing tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions, you know, combined into this electric technology. But what happens when all these car companies, including Tesla, really start, you know, flooding the market with electric cars? So you're driving down the street, you're almost on an E, or your battery's almost empty. You don't have a backup engine like a Tesla, and now you need to fuel your car up. You need to fill that battery. Well, you pull off, the car will literally tell you exactly where to get off, and actually kind of, I wouldn't doubt it if the car actually just drives to the next charging station. But if right now, I think, what was the number we talked about, Stephen? Was it 3% or 2% of all the cars are electric right now? What if that number was 20%? What if every car on the road, 20% of them were electric cars? What does that do to the electric grid? Like, we already have brownouts and blackouts all over. Even here in stupid Buffalo, New York, we have blackouts. We had it happen just a couple weekends ago. So what happens when everybody's plugging their cars in to the electric grid, when it's 120 degrees in Arizona, when it's super hot in California, everybody's running their AC, and the government's already saying, hey, we have to control how much energy we use. Are we ready for that? Dennis, what's your take on this?
At the current moment, probably not, but Tesla innovates. You know, you go to a supercharger, and I think it's half the time it was 3 years ago. It's probably going to be half the time, you know, in 3 years, and they're just going to keep doing it because that's like their DNA. I think they realize that too. I think they're looking at it and they say, well, you know, if 20% of the cars are out there. The other thing is, like in your scenario, like if this was midnight, I wouldn't want to get in line of 12 cars to wait a half hour for each supercharger. So I think, you know, it's going that way, and I think that question is out there, and it's going to get answered by a lot smarter people than I am.
Yeah, you know, somebody just said something, Stephen, we'll come to that second. I think this is good. Michael, it says, Michael Brightside Official on Instagram said, perhaps Tesla's stock is directly correlated to Elon's other companies. Might be worth looking at that for a reference on Elon's tech as a whole. So that's a really good take. You know, when we look at Tesla, we think just the cars, right? But then what about SpaceX? What kind of technology does Elon really have his hands on now that he's putting rockets up into space along with Amazon and Virgin Galactic? All these guys, I have to believe they have a lot more technology than what we actually know about. So when you really look at Elon and his companies, you know, whether it's Solar City or Tesla or SpaceX, and you can put all that technology together, I like what Dennis said. Maybe there is a real solution that they had figured out, but I don't think California has that figured out themselves, because I think if you start plugging in all these cars in California, I think you guys aren't going to have AC in the mid-afternoon. And I don't know, do you want AC or do you want your electric car? So I think they need to figure out the power grid issue before we decide to really jump too deep into this electric car push. And hopefully the smart guys, the Elons of the world, have this figured out. So I think that was a really good thing to say, Michael. And Stephen, what's your take on this?
Yeah, that's the space race is really awesome. That's picking up. I saw that Jeff Bezos came out and told NASA that he'll basically waive $200 billion worth of fines and fees to give the contract to him instead of Elon to send a rover to the moon. So now we got two crazy billionaire wild people that are like, I want the contract to go to the moon. No, I want the contract to go to the moon. So I love to see this battle royale going on. So this is a lot of fun, and it's private innovation that's driving us there. It's so amazing to see. Like, we made fun of Bezos last week, but if you think about just how fascinating it is that he was able to use his own money, private money, to send himself into space, even though the FAA came out and said, it's not technically space, whatever. It's a step in the right direction that's going to get us there eventually. And it's awesome to see private industry funding and making this stuff happen. So I love to see that happen. But back to the Chargers real fast. I also saw Tesla, like Dave said, they're always innovating. So they came out and said, we're going to open up later this year our chargers to other electric cars also. So what that shows is that's just going to continue. Other companies want to build more and more and more. And if they all start sharing, that's just going to increase the entire EV market. So it's pretty cool to see it all coming together. And who knows, maybe Tesla stock does go to $3,000. Maybe Kathy, I mean, she's a pretty smart woman, right?
Yeah, and someone commented in, they said, are we talking money or space? Really, I think we're talking about both, because there's a lot of money in space, so it seems. I mean, Bezos, took that you guys can have your own take on what that ship looked like, but that thing, if you guys haven't seen the Spaceballs remake of that, you guys just need to watch that. But anyway, how much did they charge these multimillionaires to go into space? There's a lot of money in space. So with that being said, are we talking money or space? We're talking both, but we're not just looking at today. We're looking into the future. Like there is a space race, and it's not the government doing it. It's private enterprise, and private enterprise is in the business to make freaking money. They're not doing this space runs, and they're not losing a couple $1 billion or maybe even more by trying to land a rocket back on a barge in the middle of the ocean, which is absolutely fascinating. They're doing this because there's a lot of money up there. They're predicting that they're going to have so many damn satellites in the atmosphere to do this or that. Like, I don't know, like that's what you got to look at. It's not that space and money, they are two different things, but really there's just, you got to look at what are these companies doing? Why are they doing it? And which ones are the ones to invest in into the future? What I always say is I think the market's going to crash in the next few years. 2022, end of 2022, I think it's all over. I think we're going to literally be in the next recession or potentially something that resembles the Great Depression. But with all that being said, if you've got the risk tolerance and you're investing for the long haul, pick winners, pick ones that are investing in things like, I hate to say space, but you got to be really smart about what you're doing. Me, for my risk tolerance, I'm very conservative. I'm freaking out of the market. We trade our private hedge fund. We do very fast algorithms. We don't take any long positions, so to say. We're playing certain support and resistance levels, and sometimes we're in a trade for a minute, and then we're back out of it. Now, that's not the average trader. So the average trader needs to say, can I accept the risk of investing in the market today when it's at its highest point ever? And if I invest in the highest point ever, whatever stocks I'm buying, do they have the potential to go further? So when we talked about Tesla might be that technology company, and all their surrounding companies, their affiliate companies, could be one that really could do something in the future, just like Amazon and some others. So there's a lot of stuff going on out there that you really got to consider. Don't buy into the FOMO. Don't buy into this craziness of the markets, because if you do, you're going to be the shoe shine boy back in the Great Depression that was talking to Kennedy Sr. saying, giving stock tips. And Kennedy said, if the shoe shine boy is giving stock tips and knows as much as I do about the stock market, it's time for me to get out. I think that's what you're seeing. Warren Buffett, you're seeing Mark Zuckerberg, you're seeing Bill Gates. They're selling large positions of their portfolios. So go on YouTube. You can see exactly what they're selling, and it's all public knowledge. Why are the big guys selling? Why are the hedge funds, or at least they were back when I was looking into this, in the dark pools trading at half their volume? Why are big hedge funds moving trillions of dollars into the real estate market when they used to just be stocks this, stocks that? And the guy from The Big Short, that dude is about as bearish on the markets as you can get. He is absolutely certain the market's going to tumble. So if all these smart guys, much smarter than me, Steven, or don't mean to throw you under the bus on this one here, but Dennis, I think these guys might know a thing or two more, and they're exiting, but yet everybody else is buying in because of the euphoria. So you got to be careful. So real quick, before we get into the NBA stuff, this is interesting, Steven, you're going to have this one. I want to hit back to Kay Walker. So I know I was kind of a bit harsh there, but hey, this is What the F Happened, a weekly show where we talk about the markets in, from the previous week. But he did bring up an interesting topic that I didn't really hit on. There's a lot of people out there giving stock advice, literally saying, oh, you should buy this. I see it all the time, the options trading courses and everything, where they're literally on there showing you the stocks or the options that they're trading. And they even have these trade alongs. So I have SEC attorneys on retainer. You can't do that. They are not licensed. You know how they're doing it? They don't live in the United States. They're in somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know, Philippines or something. And they're running these companies out of another country. So it's very difficult for the SEC to wrap their tentacles around them and do that. But he's right. Kay Walker, what he was saying is, he was alluding to a money mentor, but I'm going to clarify that. You can't call yourself a financial advisor unless you're Series 7 licensed. If you're life licensed or Series 6 licensed, you're not a financial advisor. You're a registered rep, or you're a financial services professional. You're not a financial advisor. A money mentor is just somebody that mentors people on money, not specifics, not making individual recommendations. I know publicly I've said I'm putting my money in 20 and 30-year US Treasuries. That's me. I'm not making that recommendation. I'm just being transparent about where my money's going and why I'm doing that. So, Kay Walker, didn't mean to beat up on you, but you know what? You made a good point. There's too many people out there that are the shoe shine boys giving stock tips, and it's driving people. It's literally like sheep being herded off the edge of a cliff, and everybody's just following the sheep. Be the lion, sit there and watch all this stuff and just laugh and just say, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to feast on all these sheep when this whole thing goes down. But anyway, all right. Well, with that being said, folks, that is a wrap with What the F Happened, a weekly show where we talk about the markets in review. Thanks for playing, folks. Thanks for ranting. Thanks for arguing, whatever side you were on. We love you guys. Join us next week. Same great time, same great place. All right. If you like that video, make sure you check out this video right now. And also don't forget, subscribe to my channel, and don't ever forget to smash that alert button. We'll see you on the next one.